For 4 long years, he waited through scorching summers, freezing winters, and endless storms. He sat in the same spot, staring down the road, hoping for someone who never came back. A German shepherd named Duke became a ghost from the past, a mystery no one could solve. People tried to help him, but he refused to leave. He kept waiting. But for who or for what? Then, one morning, something incredible happened. A single moment changed everything. You won't believe the miracle that brought this dog's story full circle. Stay until the end, because this story will restore your faith in loyalty, love, and destiny. The morning sun cast long shadows across the empty highway. Its warmth slowly burned away the thin mist clinging to the pavement. The road was quiet except for the occasional passing car. And yet, there he was, just like always. A German shepherd sitting near the old gas station, his fur dusty and slightly worn. Duke's fur was dusty and unkempt, his eyes locked on the long stretch of road ahead. He barely moved, rarely acknowledging people who passed by. He just sat there, waiting. For 4 years, Duke had made this spot his home. At first, no one knew where he'd come from. Truck drivers, commuters, and the few remaining residents of the small town all noticed him. But no one had the heart to chase him away. People tried feeding him, and sometimes Duke would eat, but only after they had left. If anyone got too close, he'd quietly stand up, walk a few feet away, and sit back down. He was never aggressive, never barked, and never caused trouble. He just waited. Martha Reynolds, the 56-year-old owner of the local diner, had short gray hair and kind but sharp eyes. She was one of the first people to show an interest in Duke. Every morning before opening her diner, she would drive to the old gas station and leave food near the pumps. "Poor thing," Martha often said to anyone who asked. "He's waiting for someone. I don't know who, but I hope they come back." Duke had endured brutal winters and scorching summers, always returning to the same spot. At night, he'd curl up against the rusted walls of the abandoned gas station, seeking shelter from wind and rain. Sometimes, when the town was quiet, residents would hear him softly whimper, a lonely, heartbreaking sound nobody could ignore. Every now and then, someone tried to adopt Duke. A trucker once attempted to coax him into his rig, and a young woman even brought a leash hoping to lead him away. But Duke always refused. He'd gently pull away, move a few feet, then sit back down, eyes fixed firmly on the horizon, as if waiting for someone who promised to return. It was a cold autumn morning when Noah Patterson, a 32-year-old investigative journalist with short dark brown hair and a lean build, first noticed Duke. Noah had driven through this town countless times, always heading toward his next assignment. He'd noticed the dog sitting by the gas station before, but never paid much attention until today. Something about Duke's quiet patience made Noah slow his car. He pulled into the gas station and watched from inside his vehicle. Duke remained completely still, focused, just waiting. Noah grabbed his phone, took a quick photo, and his curiosity grew. Noah walked into Martha's diner, where the scent of fresh coffee and bacon filled the air. A few regulars sat at the counter, chatting about the upcoming storm. Martha glanced up from behind the counter. "Coffee?" she asked. "Sure," Noah said, sliding onto a stool. "And can I ask you something?" Martha poured his coffee and leaned against the counter. "You're here about the dog, aren't you?" Noah raised an eyebrow. "So, it's not just me?" Martha chuckled softly. "Honey, that dog has been sitting out there for 4 years. You're a little late to this mystery." Noah frowned. "For years? Waiting for what?" Martha sighed, shaking her head. "That's the thing, no one really knows." She wiped her hands on a towel before continuing. "Some folks say he belonged to a trucker who used to stop here. Others think he got lost and couldn't find his way back home. But me." She paused, looking out the window at the faithful figure still sitting by the gas station. "I think he's waiting for his family." Noah glanced back outside, his mind racing. He had covered plenty of human interest stories before, missing persons, survival stories, even reunions between lost pets and their owners. But this felt different. This dog had waited for 4 years in the exact same place. Why? He pulled out his phone and opened his investigative notes app. There was a story here, and Noah was determined to uncover the truth. For years earlier, Duke had a home. He wasn't a stray, and he wasn't lost. He was loved. His days were filled with laughter, warmth, and the boundless energy of a boy who adored him. Lucas Carter, just 10 years old at the time, had practically grown up with Duke. From the day his parents brought the tiny German Shepherd puppy home, the two had become inseparable. Lucas would wake up early just to be the first one to greet Duke. The dog slept at the foot of Lucas's bed, followed him to the kitchen every morning, and waited eagerly by the door every afternoon when Lucas returned from school. Lucas's mother, Emily Carter, 38, gentle yet strong-willed, with warm brown eyes and shoulder-length chestnut hair, often said, "I don't know who's more excited, Lucas to see Duke, or Duke to see Lucas." His father, Benjamin Carter, 41, tall, sturdy, always carrying the weight of responsibility in his sharp blue eyes, wasn't a man of many words. But whenever he came home from work, he would kneel down, rub Duke's ears, and quietly say, "Good boy," looking out for the family. And Duke always did. He wasn't just their dog. He was part of the family. Until the night everything changed. The storm rolled in quickly, bringing heavy rain and winds that made the roads slick and dangerous. The Carter family was driving home after a weekend visit to Emily's parents. Duke sat in the back seat with Lucas, his head resting gently on the boy's lap. The steady patter of rain on the car windows created a sense of peace. Suddenly, out of nowhere, headlights appeared, too close, too fast. Emily barely had time to scream before the impact sent their car skidding off the highway. The world flipped, twisted, shattered. Glass broke, metal screamed. Lucas cried out for his parents, and then there was silence. When Duke regained consciousness, everything was dark. His ears were ringing, his body ached, and the smell of smoke filled the air. Somewhere in the distance, he could hear voices shouting, sirens blaring, and someone crying. He stumbled forward, confused and disoriented. The car lay on its side, crushed at the front. Lucas was gone. No, not gone. He was being carried away. Duke saw people, firefighters, paramedics, strangers, rushing to pull Benjamin, Emily, and Lucas from the wreckage. Duke barked, desperate to reach them, but someone grabbed him, trying to hold him back. Panic overwhelmed Duke. He twisted, yanked himself free, and ran. He didn't know where he was going. He only knew he had to find them. Through the storm, through the chaos, he ran until the world became unfamiliar. Finally, he stopped on a lonely stretch of highway, unsure of what else to do. That's where Duke stayed. For days he waited. He wandered up and down the road, searching for the car, for Lucas, anything familiar. But they never came back. Eventually, hunger and exhaustion forced him to move toward the small town nearby. That's when he found the gas station. It was close to the accident site, offered shelter, and somehow Duke believed that if he stayed long enough, his family would return for him. So he waited for 4 years. Back in the present day, Noah sat in his car, determined more than ever to solve this heartbreaking mystery. Noah sat in his car, scrolling through old missing dog reports on his laptop. He had spent hours trying to track down any information about Duke. Finally, he found it, a report filed 4 years earlier by Benjamin and Emily Carter. Their German Shepherd, Duke, had gone missing after a car accident on Highway 214. Noah's heart raced as he read the details. The accident site was less than a mile from where Duke had been waiting all this time. This wasn't just a stray dog. This was a loyal pet who had never stopped waiting for his family, and they had no idea he was still alive. Noah gripped the steering wheel tightly, his mind spinning. The pieces had fallen into place, but one big question remained. What now? He glanced at Duke, still faithfully sitting near the gas station, eyes locked on the empty road ahead. Noah knew he couldn't just walk away. He reached for his camera from the passenger seat. If any story deserved to be told, it was this one. He parked his car at a safe distance, careful not to startle Duke, and set up his camera. The evening sunlight was perfect, casting gentle golden hues that highlighted the quiet loneliness in Duke's eyes. Noah pressed record and began speaking naturally. "This is Duke, and for 4 years he's been waiting. Nobody knows exactly how he survived this long, but every day, he sits in the same spot, staring down the same road, waiting for someone who never came back. People have tried to help, but Duke always refuses to leave. He's waiting for someone special." Noah zoomed in slowly, capturing Duke's worn-out fur, the way his ears twitched at passing cars, and the hope still lingering in his tired eyes. "Today, I discovered the truth," Noah continued. 4 years ago, Duke was in a car accident. His family thought they lost him forever. What they never knew was that Duke never stopped waiting for them. Noah let the camera linger on Duke before stopping the recording. He knew he had a powerful story, one that would touch hearts everywhere. Noah quickly uploaded the video to Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, along with the caption, "The dog who never left." This German Shepherd has waited 4 years in the same spot after a tragic accident separated him from his family. They thought he was gone forever, but Duke never gave up. "Let's help Duke find his family again." Then Noah waited, but he didn't have to wait long. Within an hour, the video reached over 10,000 views. Comments poured in, filled with emotion. "This breaks my heart. Please, someone find his family. Dogs are too pure for this world. I hope he gets home." Then, something incredible happened. A woman commented, "I think I know this dog." Across the country, in a quiet suburban home, 14-year-old Lucas Carter sat on the couch, scrolling through his phone. He clicked on a video someone had sent him. The moment the dog's face appeared on screen, Lucas's heart stopped. "No," he whispered, barely breathing. "Couldn't be." He sat up straight, gripping the phone tighter as he listened to Noah's words. 4 years ago, Duke was in a car accident. His family thought they lost him forever. But what they never knew is that he never stopped waiting for them. Tears filled Lucas's eyes. He whispered again, barely audible, "Duke." Just then, his mother, Emily Carter, walked into the room. Lucas turned to her, voice shaking. "Mom," he said, holding up the phone. "I think they found him." Emily frowned, taking the phone from her son's trembling hands. She hit play, covering her mouth in shock as she watched the footage. "Oh my God," she whispered. Within 3 hours, Noah's inbox exploded with thousands of messages. Reporters, rescue organizations, people offering to adopt Duke. But one message stood out clearly. It was from Emily Carter. Noah opened it, his pulse racing. "That's our dog. That's Duke. We thought he was gone forever. Please tell me he's still there." Noah stared at the screen, his heart pounding. This was the miracle Duke had been waiting for. His fingers hovered over the keyboard. Noah reread Emily Carter's message over and over again. "That's our dog. That's Duke. We thought he was gone forever. Please tell me he's still there." He exhaled sharply, feeling his chest tighten. This wasn't just a story anymore, it was real. A family had spent 4 long years believing they'd lost their beloved dog, and all this time, Duke had been waiting for them. Noah quickly began typing a reply. "Emily, I just saw your message. Duke is still here. He never left. He's been waiting in the same spot for 4 years. He won't leave, no matter what anyone does." He hit send and barely had time to set his phone down before a reply popped up. "Where are you? We need to come." Noah's heart raced as he quickly sent the location and his number. Seconds later, his phone rang. "Hello," Noah answered. The voice on the other end shook with emotion. "Is this real?" It was Emily. Noah cleared his throat, trying to steady his voice. "Yes, ma'am. I'm looking at him right now. He's right here." A moment of silence, then a choked sob. "We're coming. Oh my God, we're coming." Noah swallowed hard. "How far away are you?" "We live in Denver now," Emily replied. "It's a long drive, but we're leaving right now." Noah quickly calculated the distance. That was over 10 hours away. "I'll be here," he assured her gently. "Duke isn't going anywhere." Emily's voice cracked softly. "Please, tell him we're coming." Noah's throat tightened as he glanced at Duke, still sitting faithfully near the gas station, eyes locked onto the road ahead. "I think he already knows," Noah whispered. The next few hours passed in a blur. Noah couldn't leave Duke now. He stayed close, watching the dog's every movement, making sure nothing disturbed him. Word quickly spread through the small town, and locals started gathering nearby, quietly murmuring about the reunion about to happen. Martha from the diner brought Duke fresh food and a warm blanket, her hands shaking slightly. "I knew he was waiting for someone," she said, her eyes misty. "I just didn't know who." Several truck drivers who'd seen Duke over the years stopped by, sharing stories of how they tried to help but never understood why Duke refused to leave. Now they knew Duke's loyalty had never wavered. As night fell and the town grew quiet, Noah sat near Duke, pulling his jacket tighter against the cold. He glanced at his watch, 4 hours left. Beside him, Duke shifted slightly. For the first time, Noah saw a flicker of anticipation in the dog's eyes, almost like Duke could sense something was about to change. Noah leaned closer, whispering softly, "Just a little longer, buddy. They're coming." Duke's ears twitched, but his gaze remained fixed on the road ahead. Just before dawn, headlights appeared in the distance. Noah stood quickly, his heart pounding as the car slowed, pulling onto the gravel lot near the gas station. The moment the car stopped, the passenger door flew open. Emily Carter stepped out first, trembling, clutching her coat as her eyes desperately scanned the area. Benjamin stepped out next, his face tense but determined, fists clenched at his sides. Then, from the back seat, a boy emerged. Lucas, now 14, taller and older, but his eyes still hopeful. No one spoke. Duke stood slowly, ears perked, body tense, eyes locked onto the figures near the car. The whole world seemed to hold its breath. Emily took a hesitant step forward. "Duke." Duke didn't move. Lucas's shaky voice broke the silence. "It's me, buddy." Duke's ears flicked, his nose twitched. He took a single step forward. Noah held his breath. Slowly, Duke's tail gave a gentle wag. Emily let out a sob of relief. Lucas crouched down, opening his arms, voice trembling. "Come here, boy." Duke took another cautious step, then another. Suddenly, he broke into a run. Emily cried out joyfully as Duke rushed into Lucas's arms, nearly knocking the boy over. Lucas buried his face in Duke's fur, sobbing openly. "You waited," Lucas whispered. "You waited for us." Benjamin knelt beside them, his usually strong, stoic expression crumbling as he stroked Duke's back. "Good boy," he said softly, his voice breaking. Good boy." Emily wrapped her arms around both Lucas and Duke, tears streaming down her face. Duke let out a deep, heartfelt sound. Not quite a bark or a whimper, but something filled with pure relief. Nearby, Noah swallowed hard, blinking away tears. The dog who had waited faithfully for long years had finally come home. The drive home was quiet. Duke lay curled up in the back seat beside Lucas, who never stopped gently stroking his fur. Every few minutes, Lucas would whisper softly, "I missed you, buddy." Duke didn't respond with playful licks or wagging tail, but he also didn't pull away. For now, that was enough. Emily glanced frequently in the rearview mirror, watching them closely, her hands gripping the steering wheel tighter than necessary. She had dreamed of this moment for years, bringing Duke home. Yet, deep down, she knew things wouldn't immediately return to normal. Duke wasn't the same dog they'd lost. After 4 years alone in the cold, trusting people again wouldn't be easy. When they finally pulled into the driveway, Lucas gently nudged Duke. "We're home, boy." The dog lifted his head slowly, his eyes scanning the unfamiliar house. It wasn't the same one he remembered. After the accident, the Carters had moved from their old home in Wyoming to a larger house in Denver, Colorado. Despite the spacious backyard, to Duke, this wasn't home. Lucas unbuckled his seatbelt and opened the door, stepping out and waiting for Duke to follow. But Duke hesitated. For the first time since the reunion, he wasn't rushing toward them. Emily caught her breath, exchanging a worried glance with Benjamin, who nodded silently and approached the open door. "Duke," Benjamin said softly but firmly. It's okay, boy. Come on. Duke's ears flicked slightly, but he didn't move. Lucas knelt down next to his father. You're safe now, I promise. Seconds passed. Slowly, cautiously, Duke stepped out of the car. He placed one paw onto the pavement as if walking on unfamiliar ground. His body remained tense, ears alert to every sound. The wind rustled the trees, and Duke turned sharply. A passing car made his tail lower slightly. He was waiting, expecting something to go wrong. Inside the house, Lucas led Duke to his old dog bed in the corner of the living room. It's yours, buddy, he said gently, patting the soft cushion. Duke sniffed cautiously but didn't lie down. Instead, he paced nervously, tail lowered, body stiff. The warmth of the house, the unfamiliar smells, and the soft voices. It was overwhelming. Emily knelt beside Duke and carefully reached out her hand. You're home now, she whispered. Duke flinched. Lucas saw it immediately, the tension in Duke's muscles, the quick glance toward the door as if planning his escape. Lucas's chest tightened painfully. Duke had spent 4 years surviving alone in harsh conditions. Did he even remember what home felt like? The first few nights were the hardest. Duke refused to sleep inside. Lucas tried everything. Blankets, treats by his bed, even sleeping on the floor beside him. But nothing worked. Duke insisted on curling up by the back door, staring at it as though still waiting for a family who had left him behind or perhaps a past that no longer existed. Lucas lay awake watching Duke. He wanted desperately to comfort him. But how could you mend a heart that had waited alone in silence for 4 years? So instead, Lucas gave Duke the one thing Duke had given them: time. The breakthrough finally came one cold morning about a week later. Lucas woke early, rubbing sleep from his eyes as he quietly made his way downstairs. When he reached the living room, he froze. Duke was no longer by the back door. Instead, he was curled up peacefully on his dog bed. Lucas didn't move, didn't even breathe for a moment. Duke was resting calmly, his body finally relaxed, his breathing slow and steady. Lucas's heart swelled. It wasn't much, but it was something. Lucas grabbed his phone and quickly texted his mom, who was still upstairs. Mom, he's sleeping on his bed. Seconds later, her reply appeared. Don't wake him. Let him feel safe. Lucas set his phone down and quietly sat on the floor a few feet away, just watching Duke sleep peacefully in his own home for the first time in 4 years. That night, Lucas lay on the couch, flipping through an old photo album. Seeing pictures of Duke as a puppy made him smile, filling him with warmth. Suddenly, he felt movement beside him. He slowly turned his head, his heart nearly stopping. Duke was standing right next to him, staring quietly. Lucas didn't dare move or speak. Then, slowly and carefully, Duke rested his head gently on Lucas's lap. Lucas's eyes burned with tears as he softly stroked Duke's fur. You remember me, don't you? He whispered. Duke let out a soft breath, and for the first time since returning home, he wagged his tail. In the weeks that followed, Duke made incredible progress. He began eating regularly, sleeping comfortably inside, and even started following Lucas around the house again. He stopped flinching when Emily reached out to pet him and wagged his tail more often. But there were still moments of hesitation. Every time someone opened the back door, Duke's ears perked up, his body tensed, and Lucas could see a flicker of fear in his eyes, as though he might run. Lucas noticed every single time. His parents reminded him it would take patience. That Duke had spent so long waiting, he wasn't sure how to stop. But Lucas wasn't worried about how long it might take. He worried what would happen if Duke ever had the chance to leave. He would soon find out. It was a quiet, crisp afternoon. The sky painted soft shades of gold and blue. Lucas had just arrived home from school, dropping his backpack near the door. Duke greeted him warmly, tail giving a small wag as Lucas knelt down to scratch behind his ears. You want to go outside, buddy? Lucas asked gently. Duke tilted his head, curious. Lucas smiled. Come on, let's try it. He'd been waiting for this moment. Until now, they'd kept Duke on a leash outdoors, worried he might panic and run. But today, Lucas wanted to see if Duke finally understood that this was home. Lucas walked slowly to the back door and opened it carefully. Duke stepped forward, hesitantly sniffing the air. Lucas stepped out onto the porch, watching closely. "Go on," he encouraged softly. Duke cautiously placed his paws on the grass, taking a few careful steps forward, glancing around the backyard. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the neighborhood. Fireworks. Duke froze instantly. His body went rigid, ears pinned back, tail tucked. Lucas's stomach twisted painfully. Another loud explosion followed, and before Lucas could move, Duke turned and bolted. "Duke!" Lucas shouted desperately, sprinting after him. Duke was already halfway across the yard, heading straight for the open gate. Lucas's heart pounded furiously. He should have closed it. He pushed himself faster, legs burning, but Duke was quicker. For the first time since coming home, Duke's instincts took control. The noise, the open space, the panic, everything felt like danger. Duke slipped through the gate onto the sidewalk. "Duke, wait!" Lucas's voice cracked as he called out. The dog skidded to a stop, standing at the edge of the street. For a breathless moment, Duke hesitated. Lucas saw the conflict clearly in his eyes. 4 years of waiting, for years of searching. He was deciding if leaving might finally give him the answers he'd waited for. "Don't go," Lucas whispered desperately. Duke turned, looking directly into Lucas's eyes. And then he made his choice. Slowly, Duke turned around and took a hesitant step back toward Lucas. Lucas exhaled sharply, crouching down, his hands shaking. "It's okay, buddy. I'm right here." Duke stepped closer, one paw at a time. With a soft whimper, he gently pressed his head against Lucas's chest. Lucas wrapped his arms around him, his voice thick with emotion. "You're home." Duke's tail gave a gentle wag. For the first time, he truly believed it. Weeks passed, and Duke continued to heal. He wasn't the same anxious dog who had first entered their home. Now, Duke viewed the world differently. Less fearful, less guarded, more open to joy. Lucas stood at the edge of their backyard, watching Duke run freely. The dog's body was a blur of brown and black. His tail held high as he raced across the grass without hesitation or fear. Duke was finally allowing himself to feel safe and free. Over the past month, Duke had spent more time outside, running confidently around the yard. Emily had been nervous at first about letting Duke outside without a leash, but Lucas knew it was necessary. Duke needed to trust again, to know he wasn't trapped. The fireworks had been a frightening setback, but also a turning point. Duke had realized finally that it was okay to be here, to stay. "Hey, Duke!" Lucas called, waving his arms enthusiastically. Duke immediately stopped running, turning toward Lucas with a spark of pure joy in his eyes. He sprinted back, bounding toward Lucas as though he'd never been away. Duke skidded to a stop in front of Lucas, jumping up to place his front paws excitedly on Lucas's chest. Lucas laughed, steadying himself as Duke licked his face, tail wagging furiously. Duke had finally found peace, and Lucas knew, deep in his heart, that Duke would never leave again. "You're a good boy, aren't you?" Lucas said through his laughter, his voice thick with emotion. Duke barked once, a deep, joyful sound, before hopping down and running circles around him. It was his new game, chasing Lucas then stopping as if to say, "Catch me if you can." Lucas couldn't help but smile. This wasn't the same dog who had been lost and alone for so long. This was Duke, the dog who had finally come home. Inside the house, Emily and Benjamin watched from the window, their faces soft with relief. The past month had been about rebuilding not just Duke's trust, but their family's trust in the world, and in each other. Emily glanced at Benjamin, her voice barely above a whisper. "Do you think he remembers us?" Benjamin nodded gently, never taking his eyes off Duke. "I think he does." Outside, Lucas was still laughing, chasing Duke around the yard. His voice rang out, filled with the pure joy of the moment. Duke glanced back each time Lucas called his name, tail wagging happily. Emily felt tears fill her eyes. "Good boy," she whispered softly. Benjamin reached out and gently squeezed her hand. "He's home." It wasn't just the family who had noticed Duke's transformation. Martha from the diner had stopped by earlier that week, bringing Duke his favorite treats. "He looks good," she'd said warmly, handing the treats to Lucas. "He's finally settling in." "Yeah," Lucas replied with a smile. "It's like he knows he's safe now." The back door creaked open behind them, and Emily stepped onto the porch. "Dinner's ready," she called. Duke stopped mid-chase, ears flicking toward Emily's voice. Without hesitation, he turned and trotted to her, tail wagging. Lucas followed, smiling as Duke sat patiently, waiting for Emily. She knelt down and gently petted him. "Good boy," she said softly. "It's time for dinner." Duke simply sat, calm and content, as if he finally understood this was his home. That evening, after dinner, the family sat together in the living room, Duke resting at their feet. The room felt different, it felt complete. For the first time in 4 years, Duke had truly come home. Not just physically, but emotionally. Lucas rested his head against the couch, and Duke placed his head gently on Lucas's lap, just like old times. "Good night, buddy," Lucas whispered, softly stroking Duke's fur. Duke's eyes drifted shut as he fell asleep, peaceful and content. He was no longer a ghost from the past. He was home. For 4 long years, Duke had waded through storms, loneliness, and uncertainty. But he never gave up. He believed in his family, and in the end, his faith had not been in vain. This story is about more than just a reunion. It's about loyalty, love, and second chances. It's about the unbreakable bond between a dog and the people who love him. Not all lost dogs experience miracles like Duke, but his story proves that hope is never wasted. If this story touched your heart, help us spread this important message. Adopt, don't shop. Never give up on an animal who trusts you. Share Duke's story so more people can believe in the incredible power of loyalty. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more heartwarming stories just like this one. And remember, if you ever see a dog waiting by the road, maybe, just maybe, they're waiting for someone who still loves them.